As an adult, seeing neighborhood children running and playing outside, turning cartwheels in the grass, or digging in dirt is delightful, unless the soil they're playing in is potentially toxic and deadly. Unfortunately, this is the case for hundreds of residents in East Chicago, Indiana, who live in housing complexes where the soil's lead level is so toxic that it's estimated to be 30 times higher than what is considered acceptable for children. And although St. Louis hasn't experienced a terrifying incident like that of East Chicago's, the incident there has some residents here concerned.
There is lead in soils in everywhere. It's a naturally occurring material. It's about how much lead is there. And when you live in an industrial area, you live in an area that has high traffic and has historically had high traffic, old buildings that have lead paint, it's very possible that it can be anywhere in St. Louis, and it should be something that people here should be aware of.
Which is why staff members at the City of St. Louis Department of Health are reminding residents how important it is to have their children, water, home, and yes, even your soil tested for lead, especially if you live in a high lead risk area. City of St. Louis Community Health Aide Tiffany Brown says soil testing may be a good idea for some residents.
A resident may want to have their soil tested for lead if they're living near roadways, living in a property that was built before the ban of lead paint, which was around 1978. Urban areas tend to have, again, a lot of roadways and properties that were built before their time. So if you're in an urban area, having your soil tested for lead is definitely something that you want to consider.
The primary source of lead is in lead-based paint, which is typically found in homes built before 1978. Chipping paint and dust in homes with lead paint present a significant health risk to residents, particularly young children. And although lead is much more likely to be found inside homes than outside, lead in soil is a concern worth noting. Horticulture specialist Nathan Branch says there's a number of ways lead can get into soil.
There's different ways that lead was deposited in the soil. Leaded gasoline is one of the biggest ways that lead was deposited over since before 1988. Basically, we've had leaded gasoline that has basically, as the exhaust leaves the car, it kind of dissipates into the air and slowly settles onto the soil. And after tens of years of deposits, that has led to a real increase in the amount of soil lead. Also, lead paint from homes, as homes are renovated or even demolished, that paint is another, and plumbing actually are other sources of lead for the soil.
In addition, residents that maintain home and/or community food gardens should also consider having the soil from their gardens tested as well. Many expert sources, including those at Missouri Botanical Garden, state that gardens near industrial areas, homes built before 1978, or near streets in urban areas are more likely to be affected by lead. Studies show that lead is less likely to accumulate in the seed-bearing parts of vegetable and fruit crops, such as squash, tomatoes, apples, and strawberries. But lead is more concentrated in leafy crops like lettuce and collards, and root crops such as carrots and potatoes when grown in contaminated soil. For safety reasons, if you want to grow vegetables around your home or business in St. Louis, avoid leafy vegetables and root crops until a soil test reveals these are safe to grow. Highly contaminated soils should not be used for growing edible plants. And to be safe, experts strongly recommend that you have your soil tested for lead. But what steps can you take if your soil is contaminated with lead?
There's not a whole lot that can be done to make that soil safe, but if a soil is heavily contaminated with lead, the solution at that point is probably to cover it.
Some resources for soil testing include the City of St. Louis Lead Inspection and Hazard Control Division. You can reach them by calling 314-622-4800. The University of Missouri Extension also provides soil lead testing, and their number is 314-400-2115. Because lead can cause developmental problems in young children, Missouri State Law 701.372 states that children in high lead risk areas that are ages 0 through 6 should be tested for lead yearly up to age 6. In addition, the Department of Health for the City of St. Louis recommends that pregnant women also be tested because lead in a mother's blood can easily be transferred to her unborn child. Likewise, if you live in a home built before 1978, authorities suggest that you have your home and possibly your soil tested for lead. Testing services are free for City of St. Louis households with pregnant women or children under 6 years old. For more information or to find out if you're in a high-risk lead area, call the City of St. Louis Department of Health at 314-657-1487.